Good morning. Headed to work. So I've been getting a question quite often. Address it. I don't believe I've made a video on it, start to finish. I'll address it quickly. What is my job? What do I do in the Air Force? What is my AFSC? So my current AFSC is 6F051 Finance. I am a comptroller for the United States Air Force. The first time I ever heard the term comptroller was on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where the gang ran for office. Had no idea what a comptroller was until it became my job. So, common misconception is that we give financial advice and that we are your, personal accountant, things of that nature, and it's not the case. We are kind of similar in regards to the budget section of finance, where they manage money for units and for commanders, and for the base at large. Someone has to pay for the fuel that goes in the plane, and the parts, things of that nature. Everything runs off money. The most powerful person on a base is the person who manages the money, because that authorizes everything else. Even the pilot, who is flying the F-16 or the F-35 or F-22, they cannot focus if their money is off. So seemingly we have the most leverage. So yeah, I work in finance. My first base was Joint Base Andrews, Maryland, and it's a very high tempo base. A lot of traffic comes through Joint Base Andrews. Obviously, it's the president's base. This is where Air Force One is parked, and so we have several different missions that we uphold, and provide support to. I personally have worked in customer service, which is pretty much everything related to members' pay, military members' pay. DTS, which is basically traveling for the government, DOD. When you travel, you have to fill out a DTS voucher, which is just essentially another system. You know how social media is made up of, Twitter, so Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. The various different platforms have different purposes. They're all pretty much geared towards the same end result, but they are different in their makeup and their specific purpose. Well, that's how finance works, as far as having different platforms, different software programs or websites that we utilize for different purposes. And so I've worked in all of them except for budget. And so that'll be the last thing to check off my list. One of the best decisions I've made in regards to learning finance and learning, all the ins and outs of what is a very outdated system, is taking notes. So I currently have a 55-page Word document where I have documented every question and answer I've ever asked since I've gotten to my first base. 55 pages of just constant documenting, basically trying to avoid the need to memorize anything. And with finance, you want to learn to take notes. With a lot of different AFSCs, I won't get into the rest of them, being that I don't know any of the rest of them. But finance, you will need to take notes. It is the most efficient way to store up knowledge without having to sit there and memorize line by line and all the different FIDs and all the different processes when it comes to coding up someone's pay record. Of course, all this won't make sense unless you're finance, as far as having context on what I'm actually talking about. Like, what does it mean to code someone's paid record? It won't matter to you unless you're actually finance, unless you are, actually learning the processes yourself. A lot of these terms won't mean anything to you. But basically, that's my job. I work, everywhere from a airman basic all the way up to generals. It's the nature of the job, because everyone and everything is affected by money. So you will learn how to interact with the top and, seemingly the bottom. Because honestly, at the end of the day, we're all human and we all have families. We all have, bills to pay. So, one is not more important than the other, but there is a difference. There is a difference. And so we must learn to honor those who are different based on their difference. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Yeah, it's nothing crazy deep. Let me find a different parking spot. Nothing crazy deep about finance. It's quite easy. Again, note taking makes it easy. It's not like I memorized everything, and not that I know everything. I'm a great question asker, and I will overhear people giving questions and answers, and just going through everyday process, and I'll take notes on what I hear. So it saves me the trouble of having to research the regs. Again, all the processes we do, all the entitlements, all your pay is based on the regulations. Even right now, you can go look up the JTR, which is the Joint Travel Regulation, where everything in regards to PCSing or going TDY, traveling, if you're civilian, it's covered. It's covered in JTR. The AFMAN, AFMAN 116, I believe, it governs how we go about processing your travel entitlements. But everything's online. Everything's open to the public as far as how much we get paid. Your basic pay is based off of your pay grade, time and service. And so, all the information is there. You need questions. So as soon as you get to base, no matter what your AFSC is, if you need to, if you're in a job where you need to memorize a lot of information, a lot of different processes, a lot of specific little details that matter, especially when it comes to someone's pay, because that's obviously, if you come to finance and I jack your pay up and you owe a debt now, if you don't get paid for 3 months and obviously your bills are due, you're gonna be on 10. And so that's something I realized very early when I messed up somebody's pay. The first time I did it, the first time I messed up somebody's pay, you feel that. I remember when my pay got first messed up. When I was in tech school, I got out processed when I was still on station. I got put in quad 9 status, where essentially that means I was in a traveling status, although I was still on base. So I accrued a huge debt because I was getting BAH when I was still in tech school. It was a whole thing, and I had to pay all that money back. So yeah, I work in finance, 6F. Most of you know, all of you should know by now, I do not enjoy finance. I sit in a cubicle. I have to talk to people. I'm not a very social person, if you haven't noticed. But I do my best, make the best of it. It's a great opportunity to network because you have a lot of people that come in and out, a lot of people that come across your desk, a lot of high-powered individuals that you get to help, you can provide service to and value to, which is a transaction. Relationship is based on transaction. So it's opportunity to network. I send emails to most of my customers in order to provide that channel of communication and to provide value to. One of the greatest things you can do as far as acquiring a POC in finance, it's one of the greatest plugs you can get, is have someone that works in the office or works in finance in general, because I can see everybody's pay. I can find anyone in the Air Force, I can find you. Anyone in the military, I can find you. So, because most of the systems are overlapped. So the Army, we have an individual who works in office who's former Army, but we have pretty much the same processes as far as the day-to-day ins and outs of our jobs. So there's a lot of overlap when it comes to different branches. So yeah, it's great to have a POC. It's great to have someone who actually works in the field, and it's great to network across the different AFSCs, because you're going to need them someday. At some point, you would need someone else. You would not get far by yourself in the military. You would not get far just in general. You may be able to go fast. You may be able to build something real quick and overnight. But eventually, you're going to need someone's help. And it's great to have, someone in your back pocket, someone that you're in a relationship with. It's not someone you just hit up randomly just because you need something or want something, but have someone that you are in relationship with, that you're friends with, or that you just have a great working relationship with, because they're on great terms. You provide value, they provide value. That is beyond beneficial in the military environment. So it's the video. Hope that answers most of your questions. If you have more questions, listen down below. Our hours are typically 7:30 to 4:30. It's a very civilian-like job. We just wear the uniform. We sit in chairs. We drink coffee. We listen to music. We have, the ability to take appointments. So if you have a family, it's a great desk job to have, because if you pick up your children from daycare, or if you have an emergency, you are able to leave versus if you're working on an aircraft, you may not have as much leeway if you're standing on a gate or something, where your presence is mandatory or necessary. In finance, there's somebody that can pick up the load. Emails will be there tomorrow. There's certain things that have time or urgency on it. But in most cases, it's a great flexible job. It's a flexible schedule where you're able to let life happen to you and nothing falls apart because you had to leave. So keep those things in mind. I'm trying to think of any last second questions that I would ask if I was considering finance. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Probably the closest equivalent civilian job to finance that I can think of is something probably closely related to working at Department of Motor Vehicles or DMV, something like that, except their processes are actually more efficient than ours. But yeah, DMV is a closely related job to what we do. Obviously, working at the DMV would not be fun. Constant influx of people who are frustrated, having to stand in line, having to wait. It's not always fun. It's not always the most enjoyable thing to be, in between someone's end result, especially when it comes to money. People don't like to wait, and people will procrastinate, and it becomes your issue. It becomes, your emergency because they procrastinated. They weren't proactive. Quick tip in regards to your own money: be proactive. I'm telling you now, our processes are out of date in terms of how we go about, doing the day-to-day processes. When it comes to using paper in 2019, we put things on paper. Be proactive with your own pay. Follow up. Yes, you're going to piss off the people that work at finance. We will be annoyed with you for any reason you contact us, but be proactive because it's your money and we will not care as much as you will. You need to follow up via email, via phone calls. We currently have a lobby as well. So if you think about DMV, you can't send an email to the DMV to get anything processed, but you can send any form of communication to finance, and we have to respond to all of them. Think about that. But yeah, be proactive in process. When you first get to your base, hear me on this. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. When you first get to your base, the first thing you need to do before you do anything else, I don't care what your leadership tells you is priority. Of course, obey lawful orders. So don't be going AWOL or no foolishness. But after you have gotten to your first base, you have, you've spoken to your supervisor, you've checked into your unit, you need to go in process to finance. You need to complete a travel voucher. If you do not, you are risking a debt depending on where you're getting to. I can go on for days and days about how if you wait, especially if you're coming from tech school, if you're coming from a place where the BH is higher there than it is here, you will accrue a debt. When you come back from a deployment, and if you're in a tax-free location or you're getting these deployed entitlements and you come back to a stateside base and you do not file your travel voucher, if you do not in process, if you do not go to reintegration, which is basically a briefing that tells you what you need to do as far as your pay is concerned, or just as your documentation is concerned, you will get a debt. You will get a debt. I personally work debts. You have 30 days to pay in full, not to, explain your case. You have 30 days to pay in full. A lot of other different, ins and outs of that. But yeah, in process, people. Don't wait. Don't wait for somebody to contact you because by then it'll be too late. That's the video. Just want to, cover that real quick. I don't think I've covered it in depth. But yeah, finance. Y'all have a good day. Say what's good to your boy.